Have you ever felt the icy grip of betrayal, not from a stranger, but from the very hands that once held yours in comfort? Imagine returning home, after months of facing the ocean's fury, only to find your world, your sanctuary, dismantled by those you loved most. It's a shock that doesn't just sting, it shatters. That moment when the familiar turns foreign, when trust evaporates into thin air, leaving behind a chilling void. It's a primal fear, isn't it? The fear of losing everything, not to an external threat, but to the quiet, insidious machinations within your own family. This isn't just a story about a house. It's about the invisible threads that bind us, and what happens when they're severed by a lie. What if the most dangerous storm isn't out at sea, but brewing silently, right under your own roof, waiting for the perfect, most vulnerable moment to strike? Tonight, we're going to unravel a tale where the warmth of Christmas Eve became the coldest night of my life, and a family secret turned into a devastating public spectacle. Prepare yourself, because some wounds cut deeper than any blade, especially when they're inflicted by love. The biting Alaskan wind had been my constant companion for 6 long months, a harsh but honest force that whipped across the Bering Sea as I pulled people from its treacherous waves. As a Coast Guard rescue swimmer, my life was a relentless cycle of adrenaline and exhaustion, a stark contrast to the quiet, tree-lined streets of my hometown. I had just dragged my heavy sea bag off the last flight into Spokane, the clock on my phone blinking 11:07 p.m. on Christmas Eve. The rental car counter, miraculously, still had one SUV left, a sturdy, snow-tire-clad vehicle that felt like a lifeline. The 40-minute drive through the heavy, swirling snow back to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, was a blur of anticipation. I pictured the familiar glow of the porch light, the warmth of the fireplace, the laughter echoing through the halls. It was a vision I'd clung to during countless frigid nights, a promise of comfort and belonging. As I turned onto my street, the sight of my house, ablaze with festive lights, momentarily warmed my heart. Wreaths adorned the garage doors, and a towering Christmas tree, visible through the front window, cast a magical glow. Music and laughter spilled out into the freezing night, a symphony of celebration. I cut the engine 2 houses down, the sudden silence in the truck amplifying the distant thumping bass from inside. Taking a deep breath, I pulled on my cover, grabbed the binder I'd meticulously assembled during my layovers, and stepped out into the snow. My boots crunched loudly on the sidewalk I'd shoveled myself for 8 winters, each step a deliberate march towards what I believed was home. The porch light, which I'd installed after my last promotion, cast a welcoming glow, but the American flag I usually flew was replaced by a festive wreath. A strange knot tightened in my stomach, a premonition I couldn't quite shake. The front door, to my surprise, was slightly ajar, as if inviting me in. I pushed it open with my shoulder, stepping directly into the heart of their revelry. The air was thick with the scent of cinnamon candles, pine needles, and cheap red wine. A magnificent 12-foot noble fir dominated the living room, drowning in white lights and gold ribbon. At least 30 people filled the space, cousins I barely recognized, my father's old poker crew, and my sister Ivy's entire ring light squad, all holding plastic champagne flutes as if at a wedding toast. My father, resplendent in a light-up Rudolph sweater, saw me first. He was planted under the tree, one arm slung around Ivy, the other holding his glass high. He shouted over Mariah Carey's festive melody, his voice booming with an unsettling glee. "Look who finally showed up. Sorry, kiddo, but you're too late. The house isn't yours anymore." Ivy, in a sequined mini dress, her hair extensions swinging, actually clapped. Her voice, pitched exactly like every influencer unboxing video I'd ever muted, chirped, "Closed escrow yesterday, big sis, cash deal. We're literally partying in your old house right now. Happy holidays." Half the room erupted in laughter, as if it were the funniest joke they'd heard all year. I stood just inside the threshold, snow melting off my flight suit onto the hardwood floors I'd refinished myself 3 years ago, My pulse remained steady, the same unwavering rhythm I maintained when hanging 80 feet below a helicopter in 60-knot winds. My father, emboldened by the spotlight and perhaps a few too many drinks, continued, "Family takes care of family, Haven. Ivy needed a clean slate. You were off playing hero anyway. Didn't think you'd mind." The words hung in the air, sharp and cold, cutting through the festive din. I finally spoke, my voice low enough that the music almost swallowed it, yet every single conversation in the room died instantly. "Are you sure about that, Dad?" He barked a laugh, a sound devoid of genuine humor, as if he thought I was broken, defeated. Slowly, deliberately, I pulled out my phone, opened the PDF Princess had sent from the county recorder's office, and turned the screen so the entire room could see the highlighted lien. $140,000 open HELOC you signed as my attorney in fact. Still active, still in first position. No title company on earth will insure a sale with an undisclosed lien and an active duty owner who never signed an occupancy waiver in person, which means escrow can't close. Ever. The Christmas music continued to play, a cruel, ironic soundtrack, but nobody was dancing anymore. The silence that followed was deafening, heavy with the weight of my words, a silence that promised a storm far more devastating than any I'd faced at sea. What would happen when the truth, now laid bare, truly began to sink in for everyone present? The immediate aftermath of my revelation was a tableau of frozen faces and shattered champagne flutes. Alora and Rhett, Ivy's best friend and her husband, who were supposedly the new owners, were parked on the leather sectional I'd bought after my last promotion. Alora's flute slipped from her fingers, shattering on the coffee table with a sharp crack that seemed to punctuate the sudden stillness. Rhett's face went the color of the snow outside, a ghastly white that spoke volumes of his shock. He stood up so fast he knocked over the ottoman, his voice tight with disbelief. "Seth, you swore the power of attorney made it legal. You said it was a private sale. No bank, no VA." My father's glass followed Alora's to the floor, red wine spreading across my rug like blood, a grim stain on the festive scene. Ivy finally found her voice, shrill and cracking. "This is insane. We already paid Chase the earnest money, $85,000 non-refundable." There it was, the name that had haunted my thoughts for weeks. Chase Manning, my dad's old bowling buddy, now a self-proclaimed real estate expert. I looked straight at Ivy, my gaze unwavering. Chase Manning, who got his license suspended twice for skipping title searches. That Chase, the one who wrote a contract with 0 lender approval and 0 VA compliance. Alora started sobbing into Rhett's shoulder, her festive dress now a symbol of her shattered dreams. One of my dad's poker friends muttered, "Holy shit," and edged towards the hallway, clearly wanting no part of the unfolding drama. I took another deliberate step inside, my boots leaving wet prints on the pristine hardwood. "So, let me paint the picture for you all," I said, my voice calm, almost conversational, yet cutting through the tension like a razor. "You're throwing a party in a house still titled to me. The buyers just handed $85,000 to a guy who can't close. And the bank holding my HELOC is about to discover someone tried to sell their collateral without permission." My father opened his mouth, but no words came out. His face, once beaming with drunken triumph, was now a mask of fear and confusion. I looked at Ivy one last time, a profound sense of finality settling over me. "Hope the fresh start was worth it, little sister, because this is the last Christmas you'll ever spend under my roof." The tree lights continued to blink, bright and merciless, while the room stood frozen around them, a silent testament to the wreckage of their deceit. I walked out of that house without looking back, got into the SUV, and drove straight to the resort plaza, needing to clear my head, to escape the suffocating weight of their betrayal. The air outside was crisp and clean, a welcome antidote to the cloying sweetness of the party. The next morning, by 9 o'clock, I was already sitting in a corner booth at Java on Sherman, a quiet spot right on the lake where the ice was just beginning to break up in big, gray sheets. 3 full binders lay on the table before me, color-tabbed, highlighted, and flagged like evidence for a court-martial. Alora and Rhett walked in, looking like they hadn't slept since Christmas Eve. Alora's eyes were swollen, red-rimmed, and Rhett's jaw hadn't unclenched in 48 hours. They slid into the booth opposite me, their gazes fixed on the stacks of paper, a mixture of dread and desperate hope in their eyes. I pushed the first binder toward them. Every page the county recorder has on file, every wire transfer, every text between Dad and Chase Manning about keeping this off the books, every single lie. Rhett opened it with shaking hands. Alora leaned in, reading upside down, and started crying again the second she saw the earnest money wire confirmation. $85,000 non-refundable, sent December 23rd. My voice remained flat, the same measured tone I used when briefing a pilot on a search pattern. Idaho Statute 54-2087 says a licensee who knowingly assists in an unauthorized conveyance is personally liable. Title 55-8118 says the same for anyone who breaches fiduciary duty under a power of attorney. You file today, you'll have that money back, plus statutory damages, attorney fees, and probably punitive on top. I'll sign whatever affidavit you need. I'll sit for deposition. I'll testify. All of it. Rhett looked up, his eyes bloodshot, a flicker of something akin to awe in their depths. You'd really go after your own father in open court? The question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken judgment. But I knew my answer. What would it truly cost me to pursue this path? And was I prepared for the emotional toll it would inevitably take? Rhett's question hung in the air, thick with the unspoken judgment of a society that often prioritizes blood ties above all else. My gaze met his, steady and unwavering. He stopped being my father the day he decided my service made me disposable income, I stated, the words devoid of anger, just a cold, hard truth. This isn't revenge. This is cleanup. Alora wiped her face with a napkin, smearing mascara across her cheek, her eyes still red, but now holding a spark of something new. Perhaps hope, perhaps resolve. We already moved half our stuff in, she whispered, her voice raw. He gave us garage door codes, told us to make it ours. I nodded once, acknowledging the depth of their entanglement. Then you have standing for fraudulent inducement too. Keep every photo, every text, every moving receipt. It all goes in the complaint. Rhett, with a newfound determination, pulled out his phone and dialed their attorney on speaker, right there between the coffee cups. I spent the next 90 minutes walking the lawyer through the timeline, page by page, meticulously detailing every fraudulent step. By the time we stood up to leave, the attorney was already drafting a civil complaint against Seth Reynolds, Ivy Reynolds, and Chase Manning for fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and violation of Idaho Real Estate Code. The wheels of justice, slow and deliberate, had finally begun to turn. As I was halfway across the parking lot, my phone lit up with Mrs. Arredondo's number. Mika, my elderly neighbor, her voice laced with concern, said, "Haven, your dad's in my driveway. He's been sitting in his truck for an hour. Says the bank just served him acceleration papers, and Alora's lawyer left a voicemail threatening 6 figures in damages. He won't leave until he talks to you." I drove the 3 short blocks in silence, the weight of the situation pressing down on me. My father was exactly where Mika said he'd be, slumped behind the wheel of his Silverado, his face gray, a crumpled envelope clutched in his fist. Mrs. Arredondo stood on her porch in her robe and slippers, arms crossed, watching like she used to watch me when I came home late as a teenager, a silent witness to the unfolding family tragedy. I walked up to the driver's window. He rolled it down with shaking fingers, the envelope in his hand soaked from melted snow. "They're taking everything," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "The rental on 3rd, the tools, even the damn mower. I have to be out in 30 days. I didn't move, didn't offer comfort." He tried to open the door but couldn't muster the strength. "I didn't know it would come to this. I thought we were helping Ivy. I thought you'd understand." I crouched down so we were eye to eye, the cold pavement seeping through my jeans. You thought wrong. Tears started rolling down his cheeks, freezing before they hit the collar of his flannel shirt. Please, Haven, tell them to back off. I'll sign whatever you want. I'll deed the rental to you. Anything. I stood up slowly, the finality of my decision hardening my resolve. You don't have anything left. I want nothing. Not the rental, not an apology. Nothing. He reached out as if to grab my sleeve again, a desperate plea in his eyes. But I stepped back, creating an unbridgeable distance between us. Don't call me. Don't drive by. Don't send Mrs. Arredondo or anyone else with messages. You made your choice on Christmas Eve. Live with it. I turned, walked back to the SUV, and pulled away while he stayed slumped in the driveway, snow starting to pile on the windshield, a burden he no longer had the strength to clear. I drove straight to the county courthouse to record the reconveyance, the legal act that would officially return the house to my name. The clerk stamped the deed at 2:17 p.m. By 2:45, the bank had already attached a lease pendens, a notice of pending litigation, to my father's only remaining rental property on 3rd Street. 48 hours later, his attorney filed the Chapter 7 petition in the federal courthouse on Sherman Avenue. The trustees seized the rental, the 2014 Silverado, every power tool in the garage, and the John Deere riding mower he loved more than most people. The 341 meeting, the creditors' meeting, lasted a mere 12 minutes. My father left with a plastic grocery bag of clothes and a discharge order that wiped out every dime except his Social Security and a beat-up Tacoma the trustee decided wasn't worth hauling away. The swiftness of justice once set in motion was terrifyingly efficient. But as I watched his world crumble, I couldn't help but wonder if this was truly the end of the fallout, or merely the beginning of a new, more complex chapter of consequences. The consequences of my father's and Ivy's reckless choices began to ripple outwards, touching everyone involved. Chase Manning's disciplinary hearing was scheduled in Boise the following month. I took 2 days of leave, drove the 5 hours south on I-84, and sat in the back row of the hearing room, a silent observer. The commission attorney laid out the evidence with cold, irrefutable precision. No title search, no lender approval, no disclosure of the open HELOC, no VA compliance affidavit. Chase, attempting a desperate defense, tried the "I was just the facilitator" argument. It lasted a mere 4 minutes. The panel revoked his license on the spot, effective immediately, with no appeal bond accepted. He walked out the side door, his face ashen, while local news cameras rolled, capturing his public disgrace. I didn't smile, didn't feel a surge of triumph, just a quiet sense of inevitability. I simply turned around and drove home, the long miles giving me ample time to reflect on the fragility of reputations and the weight of accountability. Ivy's downfall, unlike her father's swift and brutal collapse, came in pieces, a slow, agonizing unraveling. First, the big credit card companies filed in district court. American Express for $42,000, Discover for $58,000, Capital One for $61,000. Then the private student loan servicer tacked on another $23,000. Every judgment included 23% post-judgment interest and attorney fees, a financial avalanche that would bury her. Her part-time brand deals, the very foundation of her influencer lifestyle, dried up the minute the first wage garnishment hit. Someone, perhaps a disgruntled follower or a rival influencer, screenshot the public docket and posted it on a local influencer snark page. Within a week, her follower count dropped by half, her carefully curated online persona crumbling under the weight of public scrutiny. She listed her ring light, the backdrop stand, even the fake plants on Facebook Marketplace for pennies on the dollar, a pathetic liquidation of her dreams. On a gray Thursday in March, I officially got the keys back to the house. It sat empty, cold, and silent. The heat had been turned off, the pipes winterized, a hollow shell of what it once was. I unlocked the front door, stepped inside, and let the silence settle around me. The 12-foot Christmas tree, the centerpiece of their ill-fated celebration, was still in the corner, brown needles everywhere, ornaments shattered where someone had yanked it down in anger. I walked past it without stopping, my gaze fixed on a different memory. Upstairs, my mom's curio cabinet was the only thing untouched, a small island of sanctity in the wreckage. I opened the glass door, carefully took out the small cedar box containing her wedding ring, the framed photo of the three of us at my chief pinning ceremony, and the auxiliary pin she wore every Coast Guard birthday. I slipped them into a padded pouch, closed the cabinet, and left every other possession exactly where it was, a silent testament to my detachment. Friday morning, I met Sarah, a licensed agent Mrs. Arredondo had recommended, at the title company. We signed a 6-month exclusive listing at a 3% commission, pricing the house $5,000 under the last comparable sale to guarantee multiple offers. They came in before the lockbox was even installed. 7 offers above asking, all cash. I picked the cleanest one, a 30-day close, snow inspection, no appraisal contingency. Closing day was crisp and sunny. The buyers, a young Navy couple transferring in from San Diego, did their final walkthrough while I stood on the driveway with 3 banker's boxes at my feet, my uniforms, Mom's things, and 1 shadow box with my air medal. The husband asked if I wanted to keep the flagpole in the front yard. I told him it was his now, a symbol of a past I was ready to relinquish. He thanked me for my service. I nodded, handed over every key on a new ring, and signed the seller's closing statement. The moving truck never came for the rest of the house's contents. I hired an estate sale company to liquidate everything left inside. The sofa I bought after my first deployment, the dining table I refinished myself, every coffee mug, every throw pillow. They tagged it all, ran the sale over a weekend, and mailed me a check for $12,000, minus their fee. I endorsed it over to the Coast Guard Foundation the same day. I loaded the 3 boxes into the back seat of my new Tacoma, shut the tailgate, and pulled away from the curb. The house shrank in the mirror until the curve on Lakeshore Drive took it out of sight for good. I didn't feel empty. I felt weightless, as if a colossal burden had finally been lifted from my shoulders. But even with this newfound lightness, a part of me wondered if true peace could ever be found after such a profound rupture, or if the echoes of betrayal would forever linger in the quiet corners of my heart. The feeling of weightlessness was a revelation, a profound sense of liberation I hadn't realized I was missing until it enveloped me. It was as if the very air I breathed felt lighter, unburdened by the invisible chains of expectation and obligation that had bound me to a past I no longer recognized. I signed the lease on a 3rd-floor walk-up the same week the judge stamped the civil protection order. It was a modest place. 1 bedroom, exposed brick, windows facing east across the lake, ensuring the sunrise hit first thing every morning. No garage, no yard, no memories baked into the drywall. Just me and the serene expanse of the water. It was a blank canvas, a fresh start, devoid of the ghosts of what once was. The protection order came down after my father parked outside the complex twice in 7 days, a silent, unsettling vigil, and Ivy created 3 new numbers to blow up my phone with voice memos that started with, "You owe us." The order was clear, a 500-foot radius, a 24-month term, and criminal contempt on violation. I slid the certified copy into a black frame and hung it over my desk, not as a trophy, but as a certificate I'd earned through sheer endurance and a painful, necessary severance. That June, Princess had a 3-day maritime counterterrorism symposium at the Coeur d'Alene Resort, so she dropped her sea bag on my living room floor and claimed the couch between briefings. Evenings, we sat on the narrow balcony, our boots propped on the railing, watching the last float planes of the day skim the glass-smooth lake and vanish toward the Selkirks. The quiet camaraderie was a balm to my soul, a stark contrast to the chaos I'd recently navigated. One night she came back from the lobby holding a certified envelope by the corner, as if it might explode. "Concierge signed for it," she said, her voice low. Return address is Kootenai County Detention. Dad's handwriting, thinner now, ink smudged in places. I carried it inside, set it on the kitchen island, and built a fire even though the apartment was already warm, the crackling flames a strange comfort. Princess poured 2 glasses of Woodford without asking, slid one across the counter, and leaned against the fridge, her presence a silent anchor. I slit the envelope with the same dive knife I used to cut hoist cables, a tool of precision and necessity. Inside were 5 pages of jail stationery, blue lines, pencil so hard it tore the paper in spots. The first page began, I know you don't want anything from me ever again, and I don't blame you. I'm facing 18 months on the fraud plea. They took the house, the tools, even Mom's china cabinet. I just need you to know I never thought it would end like this. I was trying to keep the family together after she was gone. I read exactly 10 lines, folded the pages once, walked to the fireplace, and dropped them in. The edges caught instantly, curled black, turned to fragile ash that floated up the chimney and disappeared into the night. A symbolic release. Princess clinked her glass against mine. We drank in silence while the fire settled, the unspoken understanding between us deeper than any words could convey. The next morning, I walked into the Verizon store on Sherman Avenue, stood at the counter, and watched the representative kill my old Idaho number on the spot. New plan, new carrier, 757 area code, Virginia Beach, far enough away that no one local would ever guess. I deleted every shared cloud album, every family group chat, every photo Ivy had ever tagged me in since high school graduation. I blocked every number I could remember, including the jail extension my father had used. I updated my emergency contact in the DEERS system to Princess Lewis, Captain, USCG JAG Corps, and changed the beneficiary on my SGLI while I was at it. When the final confirmation screen flashed green, I stood in the middle of the apartment and listened. Nothing. No buzz, no guilt ping, no invisible tether pulling me back to people who only wanted what I could give. Just the soft slap of lake water against the pilings 3 stories below, and the quiet hum of a life that finally answered to no one but me, for the first time since I was 17, and watched Mom's flag-draped casket disappear into the ground. Nobody was waiting for me to come home and fix what they broke, and I wasn't coming. This journey, this painful severance, has taught me so much about what truly matters, about the choices we make, and the people who stand by us when everything else falls apart. It's a lesson I wouldn't wish on anyone, but one that has forged a new strength within me. If you've ever faced a moment where you had to redefine what family means, where you had to choose yourself, even when it felt like the hardest thing in the world, I want to hear your story. Share your experiences in the comments below, your courage, your resilience, your journey. And if there are other emotional or spiritual themes you'd like me to explore, stories of overcoming adversity or finding peace in unexpected places, please let me know. Your insights help shape this channel, making it a space where we can all connect and grow. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for being a part of this community. Your support means the world. The quiet hum of a life that finally answered to no one but me was a melody I was still learning to appreciate, a subtle symphony of freedom and self-possession. It wasn't a triumphant roar, but a gentle, persistent thrum, like the steady beat of a healthy heart. For so long, my existence had been defined by external expectations, by the unspoken duties of a daughter, a sister, a Coast Guard rescue swimmer. Now, stripped bare of those external pressures, I was discovering the core of who I was, unadulterated and uncompromised. The lake outside my window became a mirror, reflecting not just the changing sky, but also the evolving landscape of my inner world. Each sunrise, painting the water in hues of gold and rose, felt like a personal benediction, a daily reminder of new beginnings. The approach of Christmas, usually a time of dread and forced cheer, held a different resonance this year. There was no grand house to decorate, No elaborate meals to prepare for a cast of characters who only saw me as a means to an end. Instead, on the 23rd, I carried a scraggly noble fir up 3 flights of stairs myself, needles shedding the whole way. I'd cut it from the national forest with a $30 permit and a handsaw. It barely cleared my shoulder, still smelled like pitch and cold air when I wrestled it into the stand by the sliding glass door. 1 strand of plain white lights. No fancy bulbs, no ribbon, no angels, just light. It was simple, unpretentious, and profoundly mine. This small, imperfect tree felt more like home than any grand display I'd ever put up in the house on Lakeshore Drive. Princess landed at Spokane the same afternoon, rented a Jeep, and showed up with a duffel and 2 bottles of Woodford Reserve. Her presence was a comforting anchor, a reminder that some bonds are forged in shared purpose and unwavering loyalty, not just in blood. Ramirez, Cho, and Doc rolled in the next morning after driving straight through from Fairchild, still wearing their flight suits because they'd come off watch at 0400. 5 people, 1 couch, 2 air mattresses, and a kitchen the size of a closet. It was perfect. We cooked like we were still on a cutter, a familiar rhythm of teamwork and shared responsibility. Ramirez manned the grill on the balcony in -8 wind chill, flipping steaks thick enough to make a Texan jealous. Cho took over my stove and turned leftover rice, kimchi, and Spam into something that smelled like home for him and comfort for the rest of us. Doc spiked the cocoa with so much peppermint schnapps we had to open the door to keep from sweating. We ate standing up, plates balanced on the counter, our boots dripping on the tile, trading stories about swimmers we'd pulled out of 50-foot seas and the ones we almost didn't. Nobody mentioned last year. Nobody needed to. The unspoken understanding was a language unto itself, a testament to the depth of our connection. When the plates were empty and the fire was roaring, I pulled a small flat piece of titanium from my pocket. It was cut from the tail rotor of a Jayhawk that took a lightning strike off Cape Disappointment. I'd spent 3 nights in the hangar with a Dremel and a file, turning it into a 5-point star, its edges still raw, imperfect. I climbed on the coffee table, reached up, and set it crooked on the highest branch. The white lights hit the metal, scattering tiny shards of reflection across the room like ice on water, a quiet, shimmering beauty. Princess lifted her mug first, her eyes reflecting the firelight. To the people who stay when it's hard. Glasses clinked. Nobody cheered. We just drank, the simple gesture speaking volumes. Later, when the others were snoring in a pile of blankets and the fire had burned down to embers, I stood at the window with my hands wrapped around a fresh mug. Snow fell straight and silent, erasing footprints on the boardwalk below. The lake was a black mirror under the street lamps. The opposite shore nothing but dark tree shapes, and a few porch lights from houses that belonged to strangers. Now, I thought about the house on Lakeshore Drive, the one with the big bay windows and the flagpole I'd never raise again. I thought about the 10-foot tree that used to stand where my couch is now, drowning in ornaments paid for with money I sent home. I thought about the voices that used to fill those rooms, and how quiet sounded better than any of them ever did. Blood doesn't guarantee loyalty. It doesn't guarantee truth. It doesn't even guarantee love. It just guarantees you share DNA. Everything else is a choice. And for the first time in my life, every person asleep on my floor had chosen me when choosing me cost them something. Time, money, leave days, a warm bed. They crossed state lines in winter to sit on my crappy balcony and eat overcooked steak because I asked. That was family. The star caught the firelight one last time as the logs collapsed into ash, a silent, powerful affirmation of the new, chosen family that filled my small apartment with genuine warmth and unwavering support. The journey had been arduous, marked by profound loss and searing pain, but it had led me here, to this quiet, profound understanding of what truly constitutes a home and a family. What would the future hold for this new, unburdened version of myself, now free to chart her own course? The quiet hum of my new life continued, a steady rhythm that was both comforting and exhilarating. With the past firmly behind me, severed like a frayed rope, I found myself navigating uncharted waters, the vast, open sea of self-discovery. For so long, my identity had been intertwined with my roles: the dutiful daughter, the responsible sister, the fearless rescue swimmer. Now I was simply Haven, a woman learning to exist solely for herself, to listen to the whispers of her own soul rather than the clamor of external demands. The lake outside my window, ever-changing yet constant, became a metaphor for this journey. Its surface could be calm and reflective, or turbulent and unpredictable, much like the process of shedding old skins and embracing new ones. My days took on a new structure, one built around my own needs and desires. Mornings began with the sunrise painting my east-facing windows, a gentle awakening that felt like a blessing. I'd often sit with a mug of coffee, watching the light dance on the water, allowing my thoughts to drift, unburdened by the anxieties of what I should be doing. My work as a rescue swimmer continued, of course, but even that felt different. The adrenaline rushes, the life or death decisions were still intense, but they no longer defined my entire being. They were a part of me, a skill I honed and a service I provided, but not the sum total of my existence. There was a newfound clarity, a sharper focus that came from having pruned away the toxic branches of my past. The absence of constant communication from my father and Ivy was a silence I had initially braced myself for, expecting a void. Instead, it was a spaciousness, a quiet room where my own thoughts could finally breathe. No more guilt-laden calls, no more manipulative texts, no more the subtle, insidious drain on my emotional and financial resources. It was a profound peace, a quiet hum, that allowed me to hear the subtle nuances of my own intuition, the gentle guidance of my inner voice. I found myself engaging more deeply with my Coast Guard family, the people who had truly chosen me. Our conversations were rich, authentic, filled with shared experiences and genuine support. They understood the sacrifices, the unspoken burdens of service, and the fierce loyalty that bound us together. Princess, in particular, became a steadfast confidant. Our evenings on the balcony, watching the float planes disappear into the twilight, were sacred. We talked about everything and nothing, about the complexities of military life, the challenges of navigating a world that often didn't understand our unique experiences, and the quiet triumphs of finding our own paths. She had seen me at my most vulnerable, had helped me navigate the legal labyrinth of my family's betrayal, and had celebrated my small victories. Her presence was a constant reminder that true family isn't always about shared blood, but about shared values, mutual respect, and an unwavering commitment to standing by one another, especially when the going gets tough. I also began to explore new interests, things I'd put on hold for years. I started taking an online course in marine biology, a lifelong fascination that had been sidelined by the demands of my career and family obligations. The intricate ecosystems of the ocean, the delicate balance of life beneath the waves, offered a new perspective, a sense of wonder that was both grounding and expansive. It was a quiet rebellion against the chaos of my past, a deliberate act of nurturing my own intellectual curiosity. Each lesson, each new discovery, felt like a small victory, a reclaiming of a part of myself that had been dormant for too long. This period of self-discovery wasn't without its moments of quiet reflection, of course. There were times when the echoes of the past would surface, a fleeting memory of a happier Christmas, a pang of what if. But these moments were no longer debilitating. They were like distant waves, rolling in and receding, leaving behind a clearer shore. I understood now that healing wasn't about forgetting, but about integrating the past into a new narrative, one where I was the author, not a character in someone else's drama. The weightlessness I felt wasn't an absence of feeling, but an absence of burden, a profound sense of freedom that allowed me to breathe, truly breathe, for the first time in a very long time. What new challenges and joys would this newfound freedom bring into my life, and how would I continue to define my own path forward? Embracing the unknown became a liberating mantra, a quiet affirmation that guided my steps forward. The path ahead was no longer dictated by the expectations of others, but by the compass of my own evolving desires. This newfound freedom wasn't a sudden, dramatic shift, but a gradual unfolding, like a flower slowly turning towards the sun. Each choice, no matter how small, felt significant, imbued with the weight of self-determination. I found myself making decisions not out of obligation or fear, but out of genuine interest and a deep sense of what felt right for me. This was a profound change from the years I had spent reacting to crises, both at sea and at home. My work as a rescue swimmer, while still demanding, began to feel more like a calling than a duty. The intensity of saving lives, the raw human connection in moments of extreme vulnerability, resonated with a deeper purpose within me. I was good at what I did, and the satisfaction of bringing someone back from the brink was immense. But now, it was balanced by a richer personal life, a life where I was actively cultivating joy and connection. The camaraderie with my crew, the shared laughter and quiet understanding, became even more precious. We were a unit, a family forged in the crucible of shared danger and unwavering trust, a stark contrast to the fractured relationships I had left behind. The marine biology course continued to captivate me, offering a fascinating escape into the wonders of the natural world. I spent hours poring over textbooks and scientific papers, my mind alight with curiosity. The intricate dance of marine life, the vast, unexplored depths of the ocean, mirrored the vastness of my own potential, now finally being tapped. It was a reminder that even in the darkest depths, there is life, resilience, and breathtaking beauty. This intellectual pursuit was a quiet act of self-care, a way to nourish my mind and spirit, independent of any external validation. It was a space where I could simply be, learn, and grow, without judgment or expectation. My apartment, once a blank canvas, slowly began to reflect my evolving self. I didn't rush to fill it with possessions, but each item I acquired was chosen with intention. A comfortable armchair by the window, a small collection of books on marine life, a few pieces of art from local artists. Each edition spoke to a quiet aesthetic, a preference for simplicity and meaning over clutter and ostentation. It was a home that felt authentically mine, a sanctuary where I could retreat and recharge, free from the echoes of a past that had once felt so suffocating. The exposed brick walls, once just a feature, now felt like a symbol of my own resilience, a testament to the strength I had found within myself. The Civil Protection Order, framed and hanging above my desk, served as a constant, subtle reminder of the boundaries I had established. It wasn't a symbol of bitterness, but of self-preservation, a clear demarcation between what I would and would not tolerate. It was a declaration that my peace was non-negotiable, and that I would fiercely protect the quiet sanctuary I had built. The absence of contact from my father and Ivy, once a source of lingering pain, had transformed into a quiet acceptance. I understood that some relationships, no matter how deeply rooted, simply cannot be salvaged, and that true strength lies in knowing when to let go, even when it hurts. This journey of forging new paths and embracing the unknown was teaching me that life, much like the ocean, is full of currents and tides. There are moments of calm, moments of storm, and moments of profound discovery. The key, I realized, was not to fight the currents, but to learn how to navigate them, to trust my own instincts, and to surround myself with a crew that would stand by me, no matter what. The weightlessness I had felt upon leaving the old house had evolved into a sense of groundedness, a deep-seated confidence in my ability to weather any storm, both external and internal. What further transformations awaited me on this ever-unfolding journey? And how would I continue to define the meaning of home and family in this new, expansive chapter of my life? The quiet strength of solitude became a cherished companion, a space where I could truly hear myself think, feel, and simply be. It wasn't loneliness, but a profound sense of self-sufficiency, a comfort in my own company that I hadn't fully experienced before. In the past, silence often felt like an invitation for intrusive thoughts or the weight of unspoken expectations. Now, it was a canvas upon which I could paint my own narrative, free from the brushstrokes of others. My small apartment, with its lake view and sun-drenched mornings, was my sanctuary, a place where the outside world could be observed without being allowed to intrude upon my inner peace. Yet, this solitude was beautifully balanced by the deep connections I had forged with my chosen family. Princess, my unwavering anchor, continued to be a vital presence in my life. Our conversations, whether in person or over the phone, were always a source of clarity and comfort. She understood the complexities of my past without judgment, offering not just legal advice but genuine emotional support. Her pragmatic approach to life, combined with her fierce loyalty, was a constant source of inspiration. She reminded me that while some battles must be fought alone, true strength also lies in knowing when to lean on those who genuinely care. My Coast Guard friends, Ramirez, Cho, and Doc, also remained pillars of support. Our shared experiences in the demanding world of rescue operations had forged an unbreakable bond. They were the kind of people who showed up, not just for the good times, but for the quiet, difficult moments too. Their easy camaraderie, their shared laughter, and their understanding of the unique challenges of our profession created a sense of belonging that transcended geographical distance. When we were together, whether on a mission or simply sharing a meal, there was an unspoken understanding, a profound sense of being truly seen and accepted for who I was, without pretense or expectation. The marine biology course continued to be a source of intellectual stimulation and wonder. I found myself drawn to the resilience of marine ecosystems, how life found a way to thrive even in the harshest environments. It was a powerful metaphor for my own journey, a testament to the human spirit's capacity for adaptation and survival. The intricate details of coral reefs, the migratory patterns of whales, the delicate balance of predator and prey, each lesson offered a new lens through which to view the world, expanding my perspective beyond the confines of my personal struggles. It was a reminder that the world was vast and full of beauty, far beyond the reach of human pettiness and betrayal. I also began to explore the natural beauty surrounding Coeur d'Alene with a new appreciation. Hiking the trails in the nearby mountains, kayaking on the lake, or simply sitting by the water's edge, I felt a profound connection to the earth. These moments in nature were deeply spiritual, allowing me to shed the lingering anxieties and reconnect with a sense of peace and groundedness. The vastness of the landscape, the quiet majesty of the forests, and the endless expanse of the sky put my past struggles into perspective, reminding me that while personal pain can feel all-consuming, it is but a small part of a much larger, more magnificent tapestry of existence. This period of quiet strength, forged in solitude and nurtured by genuine connection, was teaching me that true resilience isn't about never falling, but about how you rise. It's about finding your footing again, even when the ground beneath you has shifted dramatically. It's about recognizing that while some doors close with a painful finality, others open to unexpected vistas of growth and possibility. The weightlessness I had initially felt had deepened into a profound sense of inner peace, a quiet confidence that I was exactly where I needed to be, surrounded by the people who truly mattered, and charting a course that was authentically my own. What further lessons would these tranquil waters reveal, and how would this newfound strength continue to shape my future? The unfolding tapestry of my reclaimed life was a masterpiece in progress, woven with threads of resilience, self-discovery, and authentic connection. Each day added a new hue, a new texture, to a narrative that was distinctly my own. free from the faded patterns of a past I had consciously chosen to leave behind. The quiet confidence that had taken root within me continued to blossom, allowing me to face both the mundane and the monumental with a newfound sense of equanimity. It was a profound shift, moving from a reactive existence to one of proactive creation, where I was the architect of my own joy and peace. My professional life as a rescue swimmer continued to be a source of immense satisfaction. The challenges were still formidable, the stakes still incredibly high, but I approached each mission with a clarity and focus that felt sharper than ever before. The weight of personal drama no longer clouded my judgment or drained my energy. Instead, I channeled my full attention into the task at hand, knowing that my skills and dedication could make a tangible difference in someone's life. The bond with my crew deepened further, a silent understanding passing between us in the chaos of a hoist or the quiet intensity of a search pattern. We were more than colleagues. We were a lifeline for each other, both in the air and on the ground. The marine biology course continued to be a fascinating journey into the depths of the ocean's mysteries. I found myself particularly drawn to the concept of symbiosis, the intricate relationships where different organisms coexist and mutually benefit. It felt like a powerful metaphor for the healthy connections I was now cultivating in my own life, a stark contrast to the parasitic relationships of my past. Learning about the delicate balance of ecosystems, the interconnectedness of all life, reinforced my belief in the importance of nurturing supportive relationships and letting go of those that drain rather than uplift. It was a lesson that resonated deeply, extending beyond the academic and into the very fabric of my personal philosophy. My apartment, once a symbol of my detachment, had transformed into a true home. It wasn't filled with expensive furniture or elaborate decorations, but with items that held meaning and evoked a sense of peace. The small library of books on marine life grew, a testament to my ongoing curiosity. A few potted plants brought a touch of green life indoors, thriving under my care. The east-facing windows, which welcomed the sunrise each morning, also offered a panoramic view of the lake, a constant source of inspiration and tranquility. It was a space that felt light, airy, and authentically mine, a reflection of the unburdened spirit I was now cultivating. The Civil Protection Order, while still a necessary boundary, had faded into the background of my daily consciousness. It was a safeguard, a quiet assurance that my peace would not be easily disturbed, but it no longer occupied a central place in my thoughts. The absence of contact from my father and Ivy had become a natural state, a quiet acknowledgement that some chapters simply needed to close. There was no lingering bitterness, just a profound sense of acceptance and a clear understanding that my emotional well-being was paramount. This detachment wasn't coldness. It was a form of self-love, a recognition that I deserved a life free from their toxic influence. This unfolding tapestry of a reclaimed life was teaching me that true strength isn't about holding on, but about knowing when to let go. It's about having the courage to dismantle what no longer serves you, even when it's painful, and then having the faith to build something new, brick by brick, moment by moment. The weightlessness I had experienced had evolved into a profound sense of groundedness, a deep-seated knowing that I was on the right path, surrounded by genuine love and support. The journey had been arduous, but the destination, this quiet, authentic, and deeply fulfilling life, was more beautiful than I could have ever imagined. What further adventures awaited me on this path of self-authorship, and how would I continue to weave the threads of my experiences into an even richer, more vibrant tapestry? The subtle art of letting go had become a practiced discipline, a quiet strength that allowed me to embrace the natural flow of life, rather than resist its currents. It wasn't about indifference, but about discernment, recognizing what was within my control and what was not, and then choosing to release the latter with grace. This newfound wisdom was a profound shift from my earlier years, where I often felt compelled to fix, to control, to bear the weight of everyone else's burdens. Now, I understood that true power lay in allowing things to unfold, in trusting the process, and in tending to my own garden. My role as a rescue swimmer, while still demanding, felt more integrated into my life, rather than consuming it entirely. The intensity of the missions, the raw immediacy of saving a life, was balanced by the quiet moments of reflection and the deep camaraderie with my crew. I found myself approaching each challenge with a calm focus, knowing that I had a strong foundation of personal peace to return to. The ocean, once a symbol of my relentless duty, now also represented the vastness of possibility, the endless cycles of ebb and flow that mirrored my own journey of letting go and embracing change. The marine biology course continued to deepen my appreciation for the interconnectedness of life. I was particularly fascinated by the concept of ecological succession, how ecosystems recover and evolve after disturbance. It was a powerful metaphor for my own life, a testament to the resilience of nature and the capacity for renewal. Learning about how new species emerge, how balance is restored, and how life finds a way to thrive even after devastation, offered a profound sense of hope and perspective. It reinforced my belief that even after profound loss and betrayal, a new, vibrant ecosystem of self and relationships could emerge. My apartment, a haven of peace, continued to be a reflection of my evolving self. It wasn't about accumulating possessions, but about curating a space that nourished my soul. The morning light, streaming through the east-facing windows, was a daily ritual, a moment of quiet contemplation before the day began. I often sat by the window, watching the lake, allowing my thoughts to settle, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the simplicity and beauty of my surroundings. It was a space where I could truly be present, unburdened by the ghosts of the past or the anxieties of the future. The absence of my father and Ivy from my life had solidified into a quiet, settled truth. There were no more pangs of guilt or moments of longing for a family that never truly was. Instead, there was a clear understanding that I had made the right choice for my own well-being. The boundaries I had established were not walls of bitterness, but fences of self-preservation, protecting the precious peace I had worked so hard to cultivate. This emotional detachment was not a sign of coldness, but of profound self-respect, a recognition that I deserved relationships built on mutual trust and genuine love, not manipulation and exploitation. This subtle art of letting go and embracing flow was teaching me that life is a continuous process of transformation. It's about shedding what no longer serves, embracing what truly nourishes, and trusting in the inherent wisdom of the universe. The weightlessness I had initially felt had deepened into a profound sense of inner freedom, a quiet joy that permeated every aspect of my existence. I was no longer defined by my past wounds, but by my capacity for healing, for growth, and for creating a life that was authentically and beautifully mine. What further depths of understanding would this journey into self-authorship reveal, and how would I continue to navigate the ever-changing currents of my reclaimed life? The deep roots of my chosen family had become the bedrock of my existence, providing a stability and unwavering support that transcended any biological ties. These were the people who had seen me at my most vulnerable, who had stood by me when my world crumbled, and who celebrated my quiet triumphs with genuine joy. Their presence in my life was a constant reminder that love and loyalty are not inherited, but earned through shared experiences, mutual respect, and an authentic commitment to one another. This realization was a profound comfort, a warmth that permeated the quiet corners of my heart. Princess, my steadfast friend and legal eagle, remained a central figure in this new constellation of relationships. Our bond had been forged in the fires of betrayal and tempered by shared resilience. She was more than a friend. She was a sister of the soul, a kindred spirit who understood the complexities of my journey without needing elaborate explanations. Her wisdom, her unwavering support, and her occasional dry wit were invaluable. She reminded me that while justice could be cold and impersonal, the pursuit of it could also lead to a deeper understanding of oneself and the true meaning of integrity. My Coast Guard crew, Ramirez, Cho, and Doc, continued to be a source of strength and camaraderie. In the demanding environment of rescue operations, trust is paramount, and our trust in each other was absolute. We had faced life-or-death situations together, shared moments of intense fear and exhilarating triumph. These shared experiences had woven an unbreakable tapestry of loyalty and respect. Their easy laughter, their unwavering support, and their understanding of the unique pressures of our profession created a sense of belonging that was both profound and deeply comforting. They were the family I chose, the people who understood the language of my service and the silent sacrifices it entailed. The marine biology course continued to be a source of intellectual fascination, but it also offered deeper, more spiritual insights. I found myself contemplating the intricate web of life in the ocean, how each organism, no matter how small, played a vital role in the larger ecosystem. It was a powerful metaphor for my own life, a reminder that even in my solitude, I was part of something larger, connected to a vast and wondrous world. The resilience of marine life, its ability to adapt and thrive in diverse environments, mirrored my own journey of adaptation and renewal. It was a testament to the enduring power of life itself, a quiet affirmation that even after devastation, beauty and growth could emerge. My apartment, with its serene lake view, had truly become a sanctuary. It was a space where I could retreat, recharge, and simply be. The absence of clutter, the deliberate choice of each item, created an atmosphere of calm and clarity. I spent many evenings on my small balcony, watching the moon rise over the water, reflecting on the journey that had brought me to this place of peace. It was a profound sense of contentment, a quiet joy that came from living a life aligned with my values and surrounded by genuine love. The silence was no longer empty. It was filled with the quiet hum of my own contentment, the gentle whispers of my soul. The past, with its painful memories of betrayal and loss, no longer held sway over my present. It was a chapter that had closed, its lessons learned, its wounds healed. I carried the scars, of course, but they were no longer open wounds. They were reminders of my resilience, of the strength I had found within myself to navigate the darkest storms and emerge into the light. The deep roots of my chosen family, combined with my newfound inner peace, had created a foundation that felt unshakable. I was no longer defined by what had been taken from me, but by what I had built, by the love I had cultivated, and by the authentic life I was now living. What further growth and unexpected blessings would this strong foundation bring? And how would I continue to nurture these precious roots in the years to come? The echoes of the past, once a cacophony of pain and confusion, were now fading into the distant horizon, like the last vestiges of a storm retreating over the lake. They no longer held the power to disrupt my present or dictate my future. This wasn't a forced amnesia, but a natural progression of healing, a testament to the mind's incredible capacity to process trauma and move towards peace. The memories were still there, etched into the fabric of my experience, but they were no longer raw or debilitating. They were simply part of my story, chapters that had shaped me, but no longer defined me. My work as a rescue swimmer continued to be a grounding force, a constant reminder of the preciousness of life and the importance of selfless service. Each mission, each life saved, reinforced my sense of purpose and competence. The ocean, with its vastness and unpredictable nature, had once been a mirror for my internal turmoil. Now it felt more like a wise old friend, a powerful entity that taught lessons of humility, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of light even in the deepest darkness. The camaraderie with my crew remained a vital source of strength, a silent understanding that transcended words, forged in the crucible of shared challenges. The marine biology course continued to expand my intellectual horizons, offering a fascinating escape into the wonders of the natural world. I found myself particularly drawn to the concept of adaptation, how species evolve and thrive in ever-changing environments. It was a powerful metaphor for my own journey, a testament to the human spirit's capacity to adjust, to find new ways of being, even after profound disruption. Learning about the delicate balance of ecosystems, the intricate dance of life and death, provided a sense of perspective, reminding me that personal struggles, while intense, are part of a much larger, more enduring cycle of existence. My apartment, my sanctuary, continued to be a space of quiet contemplation and renewal. The morning light, streaming through the east-facing windows, was a daily ritual, a moment of gratitude for the simple beauty of a new day. I often sat by the window, watching the lake, allowing my thoughts to drift, unburdened by the anxieties of the past. It was a space where I could truly be present, where the quiet hum of my own contentment filled the air. The minimalist aesthetic, the deliberate choice of each item, created an atmosphere of calm and clarity, a reflection of the uncluttered state of my mind and heart. The absence of my father and Ivy from my life had become a settled reality, devoid of emotional charge. There were no more moments of longing or regret, just a clear understanding that some relationships, no matter how deeply rooted, simply cannot sustain themselves when built on a foundation of deceit. The boundaries I had established were not walls of bitterness, but fences of self-preservation, protecting the precious peace I had worked so hard to cultivate. This emotional detachment was not a sign of coldness, but of profound self-respect, a recognition that I deserved relationships built on mutual trust and genuine love. This period of fading echoes and deepening peace was teaching me that true healing is not about erasing the past, but about integrating it into a new, stronger narrative. It's about transforming pain into wisdom, loss into liberation, and betrayal into a profound understanding of self-worth. The weightlessness I had initially felt had evolved into a deep-seated sense of inner freedom, a quiet joy that permeated every aspect of my existence. I was no longer defined by the wounds of my past, but by my capacity for resilience, for growth, and for creating a life that was authentically and beautifully mine. What further insights would this journey into self-authorship reveal, and how would I continue to navigate the ever-changing currents of my reclaimed life, with the horizon now clear and inviting? The art of cultivating inner peace had become my most profound practice, a daily ritual as essential as breathing. It wasn't a passive state, but an active engagement with my own well-being, a deliberate choice to nurture tranquility amidst the inevitable currents of life. This peace wasn't an absence of challenges, but the presence of a steady, unwavering core within me, a sanctuary I could always retreat to, no matter the external storms. It was a hard-won peace, forged in the fires of betrayal and tempered by the quiet strength of self-discovery, and I guarded it fiercely. My work as a rescue swimmer, with its inherent demands and high stakes, paradoxically became a tool for cultivating this inner peace. In the intensity of a mission, there was no room for extraneous thoughts or emotional clutter, only focus, precision, and an unwavering commitment to the task at hand. This forced presence, this absolute immersion in the moment, was a form of meditation, a way to quiet the mind and connect with a deeper sense of purpose. And when the mission was over, the return to my quiet apartment, to the serene view of the lake, felt like a profound homecoming, a gentle re-entry into my personal sanctuary. The marine biology course continued to be a source of intellectual and spiritual nourishment. I found myself particularly drawn to the concept of biodiversity, the incredible variety of life that thrives in the ocean's depths. It was a powerful reminder of the richness and complexity of existence, a counterpoint to the narrow, self-serving world I had once inhabited. Learning about the delicate balance of ecosystems, the intricate dance of predator and prey, and the resilience of life in the face of adversity offered a profound sense of perspective. It reinforced my belief that even after profound disruption, life finds a way to flourish, to adapt, and to create new forms of beauty. My apartment, my haven, continued to be a reflection of this cultivated peace. It was a space designed for tranquility, where every object had a purpose or brought a sense of joy. The morning light, streaming through the east-facing windows, was a daily blessing, a gentle reminder of the fresh start each day offered. I often sat by the window, watching the lake, allowing my thoughts to settle, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the simplicity and beauty of my surroundings. It was a space where I could truly be present, unburdened by the ghosts of the past or the anxieties of the future, a place where my soul could truly rest. The absence of my father and Ivy from my life had solidified into a quiet, settled truth, devoid of emotional charge. There were no more pangs of guilt or moments of longing for a family that never truly was. Instead, there was a clear understanding that I had made the right choice for my own well-being. The boundaries I had established were not walls of bitterness, but fences of self-preservation, protecting the precious peace I had worked so hard to cultivate. This emotional detachment was not a sign of coldness, but of profound self-respect, a recognition that I deserved relationships built on mutual trust and genuine love, not manipulation and exploitation. This art of cultivating inner peace was teaching me that true strength lies not in fighting every battle, but in choosing which battles are worth fighting and knowing when to simply let go. It's about recognizing that while external circumstances can be chaotic, the internal landscape can always be tended, nurtured, and brought back to a state of calm. The weightlessness I had initially felt had deepened into a profound sense of inner freedom, a quiet joy that permeated every aspect of my existence. I was no longer defined by the wounds of my past, but by my capacity for healing, for growth, and for creating a life that was authentically and beautifully mine. What further depths of understanding would this journey into self-authorship reveal, and how would I continue to navigate the ever-changing currents of my reclaimed life, with inner peace as my unwavering compass? Even in my cultivated solitude, I found myself increasingly aware of the unseen threads of connection that wove through my life, binding me to a larger tapestry of humanity and the natural world. These weren't the suffocating ties of obligation or the fragile bonds of expectation, but genuine organic connections that nourished my spirit and reminded me that even when walking a solitary path, I was never truly alone. This realization was a profound comfort, a gentle warmth that permeated the quiet corners of my heart, deepening my sense of belonging in the world. My chosen family, the steadfast individuals who had stood by me through the storm, continued to be the most vibrant of these threads. Princess, with her sharp legal mind and even sharper wit, was a constant source of intellectual stimulation and emotional support. Our conversations often delved into the deeper philosophical questions of justice, loyalty, and the human condition, enriching my perspective and challenging me to think beyond my own experiences. She was a reminder that true friendship is a rare and precious gift, a bond forged in shared values and unwavering respect. My Coast Guard crew, Ramirez, Cho, and Doc, represented another vital thread. In the high-stakes environment of rescue operations, trust is not just a virtue, it is a necessity. The unspoken understanding, the seamless teamwork, and the unwavering support we offered each other in moments of crisis created a bond that transcended mere collegiality. They were the brothers I chose, the people who understood the unique language of my service and the silent sacrifices it entailed. Their presence in my life was a constant affirmation of loyalty and shared purpose, a powerful counterpoint to the betrayal I had experienced. The marine biology course, far from being a mere academic pursuit, had become a spiritual journey into the interconnectedness of all life. I found myself marveling at the intricate relationships within marine ecosystems, how each species, no matter how small, played a vital role in the larger balance. It was a powerful metaphor for the unseen threads that connect us all, a reminder that even seemingly isolated actions can have far-reaching consequences. This understanding deepened my sense of responsibility, not just to my immediate community, but to the broader world, fostering a quiet reverence for the delicate balance of existence. My apartment, my sanctuary, continued to be a space where these threads of connection could be contemplated and appreciated. The east-facing windows, which welcomed the sunrise each morning, also offered a panoramic view of the lake, a constant source of inspiration and tranquility. I often sat by the window, watching the water, reflecting on the journey that had brought me to this place of peace. It was a profound sense of contentment, a quiet joy that came from living a life aligned with my values and surrounded by genuine love, both seen and unseen. The silence was no longer empty. It was filled with the quiet hum of my own contentment, the gentle whispers of my soul, and the subtle resonance of these precious connections. The past, with its painful memories of betrayal and loss, no longer held sway over my present. It was a chapter that had closed, its lessons learned, its wounds healed. I carried the scars, of course, but they were no longer open wounds. They were reminders of my resilience, of the strength I had found within myself to navigate the darkest storms and emerge into the light. The unseen threads of connection, woven through my chosen family, my profession, and my spiritual understanding of the natural world, had created a tapestry of support that felt unshakable. I was no longer defined by what had been taken from me, but by what I had built, by the love I had cultivated, and by the authentic life I was now living. What further depths of connection would this journey into self-authorship reveal? And how would I continue to nurture these precious threads in the years to come? The enduring power of choice had become the guiding principle of my life, a profound realization that resonated with every decision I made. It was a truth I had learned through the crucible of betrayal and the quiet triumph of self-reclamation, that while circumstances might be thrust upon us, our response, our path forward, is always our own to choose. This wasn't a burden, but a liberation, a deep understanding that I was the author of my own destiny, capable of shaping my reality with intention and courage. This profound sense of agency was a hard-won gift, one I cherished and honored daily. My professional life as a rescue swimmer continued to be a testament to this power of choice. Each time I donned my flight suit, each time I plunged into the churning sea, it was a conscious decision to serve, to protect, to make a difference. The inherent risks were real, but so was the profound satisfaction of bringing someone back from the brink. This work, once a duty, had transformed into a calling, a path I chose with open eyes and a full heart. The camaraderie with my crew, forged in shared danger and unwavering trust, was a constant reminder of the power of collective choice, of individuals choosing to stand together for a common noble purpose. The marine biology course, far from being a mere academic pursuit, had become a spiritual exploration of the choices made by life itself. I found myself marveling at the evolutionary choices that allowed species to adapt, to survive, to thrive in the most challenging environments. It was a powerful metaphor for the human spirit's capacity for resilience, for its ability to choose growth over stagnation, hope over despair. Learning about the delicate balance of ecosystems, the intricate dance of life and death, reinforced my belief that every choice, no matter how small, contributes to the larger tapestry of existence, shaping not just individual destinies, but the very fabric of the world. My apartment, my sanctuary, continued to be a reflection of the choices I had made. It was a space curated for peace, for contemplation, for genuine living. The east-facing windows, which welcomed the sunrise each morning, also offered a panoramic view of the lake, a constant source of inspiration and tranquility. I often sat by the window, watching the water, reflecting on the journey that had brought me to this place of peace. It was a profound sense of contentment, a quiet joy that came from living a life aligned with my values and surrounded by genuine love, both seen and unseen. The silence was no longer empty. It was filled with the quiet hum of my own contentment, the gentle whispers of my soul, and the subtle resonance of these precious connections. The past, with its painful memories of betrayal and loss, no longer held sway over my present. It was a chapter that had closed, its lessons learned, its wounds healed. I carried the scars, of course, but they were no longer open wounds. They were reminders of my resilience, of the strength I had found within myself to navigate the darkest storms and emerge into the light. The enduring power of choice, exercised in every aspect of my life, from the people I embraced to the passions I pursued, had created a foundation that felt unshakable. I was no longer defined by what had been taken from me, but by what I had built, by the love I had cultivated, and by the authentic life I was now living. What further expressions of this power of choice would this journey into self-authorship reveal? And how would I continue to shape my reality with intention and courage in the years to come? The unwritten chapters of my liberated soul stretched before me, an expansive landscape of possibility, unburdened by the constraints of a past I had consciously shed. This wasn't an ending, but a vibrant, exhilarating new beginning, where every sunrise over the lake felt like an invitation to explore further, to delve deeper into the richness of a life lived on my own terms. The profound sense of agency, the quiet confidence in my own choices, had become the compass guiding me through this uncharted territory, a testament to the enduring power of resilience and self-love. My role as a rescue swimmer, while still a demanding profession, now felt like a harmonious extension of my liberated self. The intensity of saving lives, the raw immediacy of human connection in moments of extreme vulnerability, resonated with a deeper purpose within me. It was a service I offered not out of obligation, but out of a genuine desire to make a difference, to be a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. The camaraderie with my crew, forged in the crucible of shared danger and unwavering trust, continued to be a vital source of strength, a constant reminder that true family is built on loyalty and mutual respect, not just blood. The marine biology course, far from being a mere academic pursuit, had evolved into a spiritual journey, a profound exploration of the interconnectedness of all life. I found myself particularly drawn to the concept of ecological resilience, how ecosystems, even after catastrophic events, possess an innate capacity to recover, to adapt, and to find new forms of balance. It was a powerful metaphor for my own life, a testament to the human spirit's ability to heal, to grow, and to create new forms of beauty even after profound loss. This understanding deepened my reverence for the natural world and reinforced my belief in the inherent wisdom of life itself. My apartment, my sanctuary, continued to be a reflection of this liberated soul. It was a space curated for peace, for contemplation, for genuine living. The east-facing windows, which welcomed the sunrise each morning, also offered a panoramic view of the lake, a constant source of inspiration and tranquility. I often sat by the window, watching the water, allowing my thoughts to drift, unburdened by the anxieties of the past or the uncertainties of the future. It was a space where I could truly be present, where the quiet hum of my own contentment filled the air, a place where my soul could truly rest and dream. The absence of my father and Ivy from my life had become a settled reality, devoid of emotional charge. There were no more pangs of guilt or moments of longing for a family that never truly was. Instead, there was a clear understanding that I had made the right choice for my own well-being. The boundaries I had established were not walls of bitterness, but fences of self-preservation, protecting the precious peace I had worked so hard to cultivate. This emotional detachment was not a sign of coldness, but of profound self-respect, a recognition that I deserved relationships built on mutual trust and genuine love, not manipulation and exploitation. The unwritten chapters of my liberated soul were not about forgetting the past, but about transcending it. They were about embracing the present with an open heart and looking towards the future with a quiet sense of anticipation. The weightlessness I had initially felt had deepened into a profound sense of inner freedom, a quiet joy that permeated every aspect of my existence. I was no longer defined by the wounds of my past, but by my capacity for healing, for growth, and for creating a life that was authentically and beautifully mine. This journey into self-authorship was an ongoing process, a continuous unfolding of purpose and peace, with each new day offering a fresh page to write upon. What further adventures and profound insights awaited me in these boundless, unwritten chapters? The eternal horizon of self-authorship stretched before me, an endless expanse where every breath was a word, every choice a sentence, and every experience a paragraph in the grand narrative of my life. This wasn't just a story I was living. It was a story I was actively writing, with intention, courage, and a profound sense of liberation. The quiet hum of my apartment, the rhythmic lapping of the lake against the pilings, and the vast open sky above were all silent witnesses to this ongoing creation, a testament to the enduring power of a soul reclaimed. My work as a rescue swimmer, once a demanding profession, had transformed into a deeply spiritual practice. Each mission, each moment of intense focus and selfless action was a meditation, a way to connect with something larger than myself. The ocean, with its boundless depths and unpredictable nature, had become a profound teacher, mirroring the vastness of my own inner world and the endless capacity for resilience. The camaraderie with my crew, my chosen family, remained an unbreakable thread, a constant reminder that true strength lies not just in individual courage, but in the unwavering support of those who stand by you through every storm and every calm. The marine biology course, far from being a mere academic pursuit, had become a philosophical journey, a deep dive into the very essence of existence. I found myself contemplating the intricate dance of life and death, the delicate balance of ecosystems, and the profound interconnectedness of all living things. It was a powerful metaphor for my own journey, a reminder that even after profound loss and betrayal, life finds a way to adapt, to evolve, and to create new forms of beauty. This understanding deepened my reverence for the natural world and reinforced my belief in the inherent wisdom that guides all creation. My apartment, my sanctuary, continued to be a reflection of this self-authored life. It was a space curated for peace, for contemplation, for genuine living. The east-facing windows, which welcomed the sunrise each morning, also offered a panoramic view of the lake, a constant source of inspiration and tranquility. I often sat by the window, watching the water, allowing my thoughts to drift, unburdened by the anxieties of the past or the uncertainties of the future. It was a space where I could truly be present, where the quiet hum of my own contentment filled the air, a place where my soul could truly rest, dream, and continue to create. The past, with its painful memories of betrayal and loss, no longer held sway over my present. It was a chapter that had closed, its lessons learned, its wounds healed. I carried the scars, of course, but they were no longer open wounds. They were reminders of my resilience, of the strength I had found within myself to navigate the darkest storms and emerge into the light. The eternal horizon of self-authorship was not about forgetting the past, but about integrating it into a new, stronger narrative, one where I was the protagonist, the architect, and the ultimate storyteller. This journey into self-authorship was an ongoing process, a continuous unfolding of purpose and peace, with each new day offering a fresh page to write upon. The weightlessness I had initially felt had deepened into a profound sense of inner freedom, a quiet joy that permeated every aspect of my existence. I was no longer defined by the wounds of my past, but by my capacity for healing, for growth, and for creating a life that was authentically and beautifully mine. The story was far from over. In fact, it had just truly begun, stretching out towards an eternal horizon, filled with unwritten chapters waiting to be brought to life by the unwavering hand of a liberated soul. And as I looked out at the vast, shimmering lake, I knew, with a certainty that settled deep in my bones, that I was finally home, not in a place, but within myself.